Garuga, happiness is killing the man. Now, that means we should be able to have that happiness rub off onto us, but that conversation will be coming up a little bit later and see how we can spend Christmas in the best possible way. Let's return to studio and our business update conversation 2023, Uganda's Fintech evolution. I have a very interesting trailblazer who will be taking us through these developments, but first let's understand where the statistics are and how the landscape is looking like. The growth rate of 17.7% to 678 ventures from 576 in 2021 is similar to what was witnessed between 2019 and 2017, when the number of active ventures increased by 17.3%. Overall, the number of fintech startups active in Africa has increased by 125.2%. That's between 2017 and 2023. The growth is taking place across the continent in major places, South Africa posting an increase, Egypt, Nigeria, but increasingly Uganda is beginning to get its traction as a point of destination for those who are seeking ventures in fintech. Innocent Kawoya is the Chief Executive Officer at Hipipo Foundation, and he joins us now for perspective on that. A very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chris.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
I was very deliberate when I said trailblazer.
Yes, please.
Why? Over the last 15 years, 19,
yeah.
Okay, your journey in fintech has been steady, deliberate, and we can see the results, especially when you see the works that the Hipipo Foundation is coming up with. But the startup landscape for fintechs in the country is not well understood, especially if you are not an insider. But if you're an insider, well, you could say the conversation has started a long time ago. First, bring us up to speed. We are outside this frame of thinking.
Yes.
What is happening in venture capital and fintech evolution?
Well, thank you, Chris, and good morning to the viewers of NTV. It's a blessing and a privilege for myself and the team at Hipipo to be a part of this conversation.
You're most welcome.
Closes the year 2023.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, January was faster than any other month.
That's right.
I remember I was here sometime, I think 23rd of 2022, December. Right. And I told you that January is going to be faster than really any other, and the 90 days of January weren't seen. And for some reason, we are in December.
I hope we don't see them again. Those 90 days are really
They will
long.
not happen, I can promise you. Any bit that is going to happen in the future is truly made of God.
That's right.
But fintech innovation, digital innovation, and financial inclusion go a long way as conversations and as implementations in different places around the world. Just like the same way we would speak about things like telemedicine today. Yeah. And then someone tells, that's a very new thing. And then when you look back, you realize that the University of Massachusetts and the Massachusetts Hospital started telemedicine in 1960. 1960. Yeah, and it's 63 years, actually 1959, it's about 64 years. The same thing relates with fintech. For instance, the likes of Visa, MasterCard, the likes of Microsoft have been invested for a long time in supporting, in creating technology, back end especially, and then the front, I mean, people have been using cards and all that, that leverages typically financial technology to serve different people. Investment is a whole long conversation that, yes, you asked a question and I even sound like I'm misfiring, but I want to shine a light on the truth of where we come from, especially in regards to fintech innovation, and tell everyone that there is that, oh, wait a minute, we have come a long way discussing financial technology. We have spearheaded the biggest and the fastest growth of financial technology anywhere across the world as East Africa. In some 15 years ago, M-Pesa was founded in Kenya. Very transformational innovation there. Exactly, and anything called mobile money started in East Africa. Uganda was the second to uptake, with MTN spearheading in that. And now today, we are speaking of over more than 690 million active accounts monthly, as it relates to level 1 project statistics and DSMA.
Yeah.
I mean, today we can ably say that there is not more than 1.3 billion people that are totally financially excluded. But we have so much hope in leveraging mobile technologies to include them onto formal financial rails. But what is investment in that kind of conversation? Let us speak at a Ugandan perspective.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that.
Exactly, at the Ugandan perspective. We are probably about 45 million people in Uganda. And every single day, Ugandan borders see probably more than 500,000 people across, transacting, moving in and out. And all of these mean business every single day. Statistics are clear about the trade we have between our neighbors, especially between Kenya, having good returns in terms of what we sell. But in a Ugandan perspective, if related to like America, what does America sell every single day? Of course, they have more than 300 million people living in the States. But what do they sell that we don't have to sell in Uganda? Because fintech, as an enabler of so many ecosystems and industries, comes in really as a rail for supporting to deliver the value we want to have at the end of the day. Investment, I'll take us back to a conversation I had some years ago with the late Professor Emmanuel Tumusiime Mutebile, who was governor of the Bank of Uganda. And it was typical an investment conversation where I was walking to more than 12 banks, commercial banks, asking them for some sort of investment in terms of a loan to buy computers that we could use at Hipipo. And all of them were asking me to give them titles of land, yet I did own a basket of soil in Kampala. Yeah, all of them were telling me I should have a job, yet I wasn't planning to be employed by anyone. Yes, I was teaching in my career, but I didn't want to be employed by anyone.
Want to be. Okay.
And I needed investment for us to buy computers for about 6 people to work and deliver the value we're delivering today.
That's right.
And I never got it. So I was like, God, where am I going to get money? I'm like, okay, let me address this to the person who controls these people. Get pen and paper, and then got my computer in Makerere University at the Department of Social Work and Social Sciences and typed this letter to the governor. Probably took more than a year. And until when to get his attention.
Interesting.
And somehow one day I am running my normal business and people are looking for me. The governor wants to see you, and luckily we have a conversation. And I'm like, okay, I needed the investment in terms of a loan.
That's right.
And I didn't get it from one of the banks you control. The interest rates are high. The conditions are very, very, very discriminating in a sense that anyone who even doesn't have the kind of knowledge and skills that I had by that time cannot even have a conversation. But then how many even have the confidence to write to the governor of the central bank?
I was just going to ask you, where did you get the guts to question the governor on the fact that banks were not cooperating, or not cooperating as such, but weren't even paying attention to the concept that you had?
Well, any single time from when I was 9 years, I was raised to be a leader. And many times I want to address issues to whoever it is that is concerned.
The one that makes the decisions.
Yeah, in the list of things I thought I should get an answer. Whether I'm getting a loan or not, I want to get an answer and maybe work around. So when I have a conversation with the governor, he realizes this conversation was presented to everyone at Bank of Uganda. It was presented to the commercial banks, and some things changed in terms of the policy and how they were implementing. It was presented to the government, and probably it was part of the conversation that inspired the youth loans that are available today. But when all those things are happening, there is the word investment, and that was what you asked at the beginning of the conversation.
That's right.
Okay, we want investment. They can be loans that are cheap and affordable. What kind of KYC is required for people to get investment? Can we start the conversation there for Ugandan perspective? If I cannot be eligible for a loan of 5 million in Uganda, how do you in the world expect me to get a loan of 100 million?
From the venture capitalist.
From a venture capitalist. Can we start from there, Chris?
Okay, that's interesting. And those are one of the challenges that many of the players who might want to start up many of these establishments could be facing. The ideas are there, no doubt about that. The enthusiasm is there. The technology is available, and people are really skilled at what they're doing. But the ecosystem, you've navigated this space for some time now. Has there been a deliberate attempt to improve these things? Do you see something that you can write home about and say, I now can actually track if, for example, there's another person I'm mentoring who can come through in a more linear way than perhaps you struggled?
Well, our struggles were just school fees for starters. They were just school fees, and for some reason I thank the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation for coming through to partner with us for quite a number of years, because part of their effort has really supported us in creating that kind of resource that is needed. For instance, over the last 2 years, I have, over my oversight and with my team, we've been able to support a number of fintechs get funding, more than 100,000 of funding, starting from nothing, as in they don't even have computers. But they have very exciting ideas, and this is not one or two of them. There are quite a number of them. And why? Because now there are new ways of us speaking about us not having and having in the same conversation. Because when it is innovation, I cannot be wanting to have Chris be a UN ambassador for climatic change, and I want to ask him for how many trees he has planted. That has not been his job for the last 10 years or 12 years. I cannot be asking you for how much land you have in Kampala to assess your capacity in being a UN ambassador. I mean, I'm being very funny about my kind of choices and decision making. Instead, I want to ask you about what strategy do you have to see this happening? What do you add to this conversation? Now, we've tailor-made a number of projects and initiatives. For instance, the 40 Days for the Fintechs initiative that we've run 4 consecutive years now, supported by the Level 1 project, is tailor-made to ensure that we give a platform for every innovator. I mean, it is a first come, first serve approach that we use, but it is totally open for anyone that has a brilliant idea and thinks they need the ears of different people that can have investment. That is one thing. The other is, we last year on the 8th of March, that is a Women's Day, released the first ever 100 women in fintech listing. And this has 100 women entrepreneurs on top of the women in fintech hackathons, the summits, and all that we run. And this is a listing that comes out to present women who are ready for being invested in. We are saying these are trailblazers, like you regarded me. These are women that we believe have potential to serve and be able, I mean, we are creating capital for them.
That's right.
What we are saying is, you might not have so much. If Chris, you don't know me, if you don't know my elder brother, no matter how much impact he has in fintech, for instance, if he came to you today, he's a nobody.
You'll be struggling to understand.
You'll struggle to understand who he is, what does he want. But then, if someone told you, okay, this gentleman actually has been doing this for 25 years, you're like, okay, now it makes sense to them. Now we are saying, let's cover that space. Can we be the voice? I mean, I so much appreciate NTV always giving us an opportunity to come and air about these initiatives and even talk about some of these initiatives. Why, I mean, the innovators and all that is, we get a chance to have an optimal way of talking about innovation, of exposing the great work that there is, and then helping the innovators find the courage to work hard and come to the platform that gets them exposed to the world. And you know what we get? We build confidence, we build trust.
That's right.
And any investor, whether it's an angel investor, whatever it is, they want to be sure that the market that you want to invest in is actually viable. They want to make sure that they'll get their money back. If someone is investing in impact and they're really offering grants, they may be interested in seeing how many people you're going to access, how much impact your service, I mean social impact for that reason, your service is going to have at the end of the day. But even them, they want to be sure that you are not going to use the money to buy cars. They want to be sure that they can trust you, that you're not going to use your money to go for trips everywhere around the world.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Let me just get your final words on this. When fintech word is spoken out there, many people, especially the young investors, are looking for low-hanging fruits.
Yes.
Yeah. You talk about the fact that many venture capitalists are perhaps nervous that you might be buying cars and going for trips, but you also need some low-hanging fruits to improve the conditions within which you're working, and this is exactly many investors' dreams. For one out there who is looking at the landscape in the country, what are the specific areas they can begin with as low-hanging fruits as they gain capacity and traction to be able to be the big players?
Well, there are many opportunities. Thank you, Chris. First of all, I'm happy to mention that this year, after a long time, our central bank, of course under the guidance of the Ministry of Finance, was able to announce an RFP for the national payment switch, which is very important and critical in ensuring that we scale access to digital financial services. I mean, it is implementing interoperability. But importantly, there have been very many trends that are very useful for anyone who wants low-hanging fruits. There is a very big growing opportunity in leveraging AI and machine learning. There is a very fast-growing opportunity in peer-to-peer lending. You have money and want to make money out of it. You're going to make more than 10% interest on any single coin you lend out, as long as you create a network of trust and then create some base of capital. There is still much need for digital payment solutions. I mean, mobile money and the likes, digital banking. And then there is what we call the PISP, Payment Initiation Service Provider, and the 3 PPI, which is third-party payment initiators. That for anyone that wants to innovate, you don't have to own all the kind of technology, but rather create a service that can be a third-party implementation and support your niche community to serve them. As we move forward, there's going to be a lot of buy now, pay later, which I think pay later. Which I think is a very big opportunity for all people, especially those who have produce, who have capital and other goods. You have electronics, you have food and all that. It's easier that you don't get your material, your capital to rot in a store, yet people can buy it now and pay later.
All right.
Yes.
Many thanks for the very insightful perspective, Innocent Kawoya, Chief Executive Officer at the Hipipo Foundation. That is it for the business update. There's a lot that is still coming up, including Tochisusa. Now, when you hear the word Tochisusa, of course, depending on where you are, it simply means do not do extreme things in order to stay safe.